How's it going, guys? CryptoBud here for today. Hopefully everybody's having a great crypto day. I know I am, and I know it's been a rocky road, specifically looking at the crypto markets. Let's just talk today. I want to talk a little bit about the updates, where exactly we're heading regards to Bitcoin 10,000, and also what do I see coming up in the future here. So first off, I want to shout out for my supporters at the Patreon account. What I'm going to also be doing is a question and answer session for some of the questions that the Patreons had. So first of all, thank you for that support. And if you have not joined my Discord channel, please be sure to join the link below. It's a free service for anybody just to go ahead and talk a little bit about crypto and have a community building up there as well. Also, I would like to announce that I do have an upcoming Los Angeles course, a live course on fundamental and technical analysis for anybody who is who wants to get some one-on-one attention. It's a private class that I'm going to have up here in LA, and also I'll be having one in New York in about a week or so here. So if you're interested in it, visit my site and you can sign up there. There's going to be some information that I need to get from you, and then you can definitely come up ahead and we can talk a little bit about this course. This course is going to be a boot camp for anybody who wants to get up to speed on both fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and also just anything about crypto that maybe you had, especially in this market, since we're definitely doing very well. So again, it's going to be on March the 3rd for the Los Angeles class, and February 20. Actually, the New York class hasn't shifted over to the LA class, but where I'm going to be speaking at the NAC3 conference as well. All right, guys. Well, first off, it's been a crazy ride. Looking at Bitcoin overall, we've fallen about 70% off from the high, as you guys already know, and a lot of us got our portfolios chopped up in half, considering myself as well. And there was a lot of lessons to be learned from this last sell-off, and definitely something to consider for the future sell-offs, and also for hopefully an upcoming rally, which we're seeing right now in the market. And one of them has to do with the fact that it never pays to sell in a downtrend, right? Especially if the market continues to go down in a down day, I'm sorry. Because during a down day, you don't really get a lot of the rebound effect. So right now, the best thing anybody could do at this point, again, not financial advice, my own personal opinion about this, is anybody could just say right now, if you want to exit crypto, it's probably the best time to do it right now. All right, it's not good when you want to sell when everybody else is selling. So let's talk about what happened and where we're at. The last rally we had was peaked out around December 16th. So I'm not sure if you guys all remember this, but it was party time. Every single coin was running hot. We had a monster rally in Bitcoin. And not only that, but a lot of the coins were doubling up, tripling up. It was a perfect opportunity. The sentiment there was amazing. And something changed. Something happened here after 12/17. We began to start selling off on Bitcoin after Bitcoin went up to 20K. And I clearly remember that moment because it was amazing to see the volume kind of pick up on Bitcoin. And then we had that sell-off that started right off the 17th. We began our downward trend, and all of a sudden we blew through three major support lines at 16, at 14, and at 12 on the Fibonacci. And at that time, people were like, what the heck is going on? I don't know if this is going to continue. All of a sudden, the volume began to pick up. And then we had these little counter rallies, which are called point A here and point B. And that was something really interesting to see, because a lot of people just were in disbelief that this market could not continue going lower. And all of a sudden, we began to fall even lower after 16. And I was definitely talking about this in my traders channel. And I was really looking at some exit points, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, 16K was definitely the secondary top. And fortunately, we were able to save ourselves a lot of money, especially with that call. So that was basically what we were doing behind the scenes in the traders room. And what happened was, after that, we just began to slide off. So everyone decided just to start selling and panicking. And then everybody got crushed once we hit 12, 11, and then 8, and then the fateful 6,000 number, which was actually went up to about 6,000, and then now we're rebounding effect. So overall, right now, looking at just the technicals and where we're at, I think it's a very important lesson to learn here. And one of them has to do with the fact that nothing goes up in a straight line and nothing goes down in a straight line as well. And so what I'm looking at specifically on the technicals, and this is something I'm going to cover a lot in my courses when I'm talking about in the live classes, and also in New York when I'm doing my presentation, I'm going to be talking a little bit about why is it that these coins, Bitcoin specifically, acts in a very similar way to some of the other altcoins. And you're going to find it very surprising that although there's a lot of people out there right now that said Bitcoin is immune, Bitcoin is the one, it still follows the exact same cycles as something like Ripple, which we remember pumped pretty hard, or Tron pumped pretty hard. Now again, I'm not comparing Tron, Ripple, or Bitcoin in the same camp. What I am saying is that the coins behave in certain cycles. And as a trader, that's one thing that you have to kind of separate yourself away from. That you could be holding Bitcoin at 20K and still be fundamentally sound. However, understand that Bitcoin does face its own market cycles, in which we saw right here. And I think that was lesson number one that everybody kind of was taken aback by, especially the newcomers who came in and bought Bitcoin at 20K. Now, I'm not saying that I was able to predict the market, and I'm not saying that I know where exactly it's at. All I'm saying is that the writing was on the wall for a very long time. Now, right now, what we're facing here is what I call a counter rally. Now, a counter rally basically means that the coin is, Bitcoin specifically, is attempting to rally off its lows and attempting to hit this downtrend line. This downtrend line has been established since the beginning at the top of 20K. Now, I usually consider this to be my barometer in terms of where we're at. Now, there's a couple of scenarios that could happen here. One is we can begin to move up to this line here and begin to kind of consolidate around that range and then fall right back down to the 5K, 6K mark. That's option one. And I kind of did talk about that in one of my live streams, and people didn't really like that because they think it's I'm pretty much the bear here. And then there was the second part, which is going to be potentially we break out of this downtrend and then we bust out back to 20K. So there's really two possibilities, and the last one is we trade sideways and then we kind of consolidate for a very, very long time. That's usually where you'll get what you call the altcoin season. So usually as a trader, I've seen this time and time again, and it's something, like I said before, I'm going to communicate that a little better in terms of how I kind of price this and how my risk to reward ratio is going to line up. But the most important thing here to realize, guys, is this. If you are in Bitcoin for the long term, it does not really matter the short-term fluctuations. This downtrend line shouldn't really matter if you're in it for the long term. You just buy it and you hold it and you let it run for a couple of years. If you are a trader and you can't stand the volatility, then it really is important to look at the technical analysis, specifically looking at these main price points. Now, a lot of people disagree with me and they say, look, technical analysis it's just reading tea leaves. It's reading like just random numbers, you know. But understand that this level right here, this 6,000 level and this 8,000 level that we were consolidating in, is not an accident. This was actually a number that a lot of traders were looking at a very long time for a possible support line. We just managed to kind of breach that a little bit to 6K, but then we saw this kind of V bottom right here. And then now people are looking at a potential inverted head and shoulders, and then there's a lot of talk between what the bottom is. As a trader and as somebody who has been doing this for a while, the most important thing to do is not to predict where it's going to be. It's more importantly about looking at the risk to reward ratio. And right now what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin is, if you zoom in a little bit, you can see that we're definitely not out of the woods yet. However, in the short term, we've gotten a lot of positive momentum. In fact, we see that the RSI line has breached the 70 level, and the MACD line has also broken off, where we see this blue line kind of hit in, and that's pretty good. However, in the short term, it is overbought. So that's one thing to consider, and we do have a little bit of resistance coming up here around the 11,000 range. So I'm looking at about 11,448 range, which doesn't give us much of an upside, assuming we crack down, right? So obviously at this point, there's a couple of strategies that possibly people can do, and that's one thing that I usually say is, what is your plan for action versus waiting for people to tell you what to do? And I think that's where you have to do your own research and your own financial analysis. is where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in the next couple of months? Not tomorrow, not in the next minute, not in a couple of hours, is where do you think it's going to be long term? Personally, I think Bitcoin is still considered to be a very viable long-term option because nothing has changed from last year. Wall Street has said, we're going to come in, we're going to try to develop products. They have started the futures markets back in November. We went through all that, and somehow all of that kind of disappeared. But now we're facing a new type of environment where we have a lot of new people that were exposed to Bitcoin, and now they got a taste of what it is to make some massive gains. So where do you think those people are going to end up doing when they see Bitcoin dropping at this level? If it were me, I think I would probably buy some more right now. And definitely I would, because this is going to be one of the last times I probably would see Bitcoin at 10,000. In fact, when it was at 6,000, that was an amazing bargain. Because at 6,000, that was in the single thousands here. We haven't really seen that since December. I'm actually all the way, all the way back since December, and all the way back up to November of last year. In fact, the last time we had this price pattern was back in November. So that's been almost, what, 3 months, 3 months. So we see a lot of, I think, opportunity in regards to Bitcoin overall. So when you're looking at that, is there a possibility we can go lower? Definitely. Is this a bear trap? I mean, bull trap? Absolutely. In fact, I do think that in order for us to get a washout, we probably have to go down a little lower. But again, I'm not going to be fixated on a bias and say, look, Bitcoin has to go down to this price level. So here's the strategy and what I'm doing, and specifically how I'm approaching this. I'm not going to be a permanent bear and say, look, it's over, it's done. We're probably going to go down to 3K or 2K. What I am going to do is begin to start scaling here in the event that we break this massive downtrend line. And I hope we break it soon, although it is very concerning that the volume here is a little low. But if it does do that, at least I have some Bitcoin, and I'm not going to pay 12, 13, 14,000 by the time it breaks. So that's option one. Option two would be just to wait it out, wait for the confirmation, and then begin to pile in. So I mean, that's something to a little bit more on the conservative side. So overall, I would say that Bitcoin is definitely in what I call a counter rally. And this counter rally looks like, I think it's a perfectly great buying opportunity for me. And I'm planning on purchasing more Bitcoin, definitely, as it's breaching that his psychological 10,000 mark. However, I do understand that we do have a little bit of resistance here at about 11,200. And then we have another resistance lines at about 12,000. If we can clear this on really good volume, there's a very high chance we're probably going to break this uptrend line, downtrend line, and we're probably going to have a fantastic 2018, in which case the altcoins are definitely going to run with it. However, I do understand that I've seen this pattern plenty of times where we do have these lower highs and we just keep on going lower until we finally get this kind of like washout period. And remember that we've had this kind of bounce here before. We've had it back in January 16th. It looked like we had this V bottom, we were going real good, and all of a sudden we just kind of sidewind here a little bit, and all of a sudden we went down. We also saw another V bottom somewhere around here back in December of the 30th, and also we saw here 1224. Both of these were false bull markets, and so a lot of people got caught here and here because they saw that we were hitting those resistance zones, and then all of a sudden we just kind of went down. And this was actually one of the worst ones, the one in January of 6 all the way down to February. Now the good news is that this rally, the sell-off has been pretty old. I mean, it's pretty much almost like 2 months now since we've had this major sell-off, and so there's a good chance that maybe this could be it. And so I do really think that although a lot of people are bearish on Bitcoin and perhaps maybe selling their Bitcoin because they think that 10,000 is probably too expensive, this could be the last chance to get Bitcoin at a very good price. In fact, I probably think that if we do break out of this downtrend, the next target would be Bitcoin 50,000, 60,000. And that's definitely within reason, considering that a couple of months ago, people never thought we would get to 20K, and we did. So there's a lot of great things right now happening in the blockchain space, and I've been covering a lot of different projects, as you guys already know on this channel, that have helped me understand a little bit about the potential for the technology, not just looking at the price action daily, but looking specifically at the long-term potential for Bitcoin. And I do think that each and every one of you has the potential here to make life-changing money that you probably don't see in some of the financial instruments. And so again, as you're kind of taking a look at the technicals, always focus on the one thing that actually matters, which is what is the long-term viability of Bitcoin specifically, and also of the cryptocurrency market as a whole. And what you're going to find is that we are probably in one of the best markets to be in. And I don't think 2017 was the end of it. And I don't think it was the top. I could be completely wrong. And tomorrow we can go down to 2K and this could be the end of it. But as history has shown and markets have shown, is that people do not forget exactly what happened when Bitcoin went 20K. And there's a lot of people who got in and felt that this was something life-changing. And I do hope that this is life-changing for you in the positive way and not in the negative way, obviously, because I think we're all in it together in that respect. Is that here I am, you are here listening to my channel, talking about how we can get back to 20K. And we do have a very large volume of people who came in during Thanksgiving and talked up Bitcoin to a lot of their friends and family. And now we have a lot of people who are in it. And it's enough to stir a lot of discussions, good and bad discussions, both in the crypto space and also in the other financial markets. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate all your support. Please like and subscribe. Press the notification bell right there at the bottom for you to get some timely information about my analysis on Bitcoin overall, and also about other projects that I have. I am going to be adding some new features to my channel. I'll be adding some more daily updates, and also be adding some more coin picks for anybody who's interested. And also please subscribe to Patreon for those people who get first access to a lot of the coin picks that I usually do. So if you're interested in doing some Patreon, go ahead and do that, and also some a little bit more in-depth research that you normally wouldn't find on YouTube. I would really appreciate it. And also for the Nova members, anybody who's in there, for the more advanced traders, this is something I'm also developing. All right, guys, CryptoBot out. Hopefully you have a great day and enjoy your Bitcoin run.